LeBron James heading to Los Angeles. Shaquille O'Neal with a tweet, Coach. Congrats at King James.
Very nice to Shaq.
Little royalty in town with everybody else in L.A., Coach. We don't talk about the coaches sometimes who are dealing with a new superstar like this. What do you think is going through Luke Walton's mind right now?
Luke Walton was on the phone, and he called up Paul Silas, then Mike Brown. After Mike Brown, he called David Blatt over in Europe. Then he called Ty Lue and Eric Spoelstra, by the way. So he's got 5 calls in to say, tell me about this guy and what's the best way to handle him right now.
Well, I'm thinking about the young guys, Coach, and the effect he can have on some of those younger players on that L.A. roster. Kyle Kuzma, depending on who sticks around and who's there for the long haul, but Kuzma, Ingram, Lonzo Ball, all these guys, this is a great opportunity for these guys as well, is it not, to learn from the standard bearer in the league, the guy who sets the tone for the entire league?
I've never coached LeBron, but in talking to people that have been in the organizations where he's been, he can be an intimidating force within the team. And a young player who's not strong enough to handle what LeBron has to say when he's talking to you about, this is how you have to do it, this is what we do, this is how we get it done if we're going to try to be a championship team. A lot of these young guys can't take that because they're not hardcore enough. They don't understand what it's all about to ultimately win a title in the NBA, which LeBron certainly does understand what that's all about. So there will be some rookies that will fall by the wayside. There will be others that will flourish with LeBron being excellent because he will set an example for them of being there first, working the day after season ends. He might take one day off and back in there once again. Just the amount of money that you hear he spends to keep his body in the shape that it's in shows the commitment that he has. This isn't all fun and games. This is a business, a very serious business, but a very lucrative business.
Normally that overnight spike in expectations could overwhelm somebody. This is an organization that they live with that expectation all the time. Does it change at all the dynamic for the Lakers in that marketplace and, amongst their fan base? Or was that there already?
I think you hit it on the nose when you talked about this team is used to that. That's what the fans want. That's what fans pay the money that they do to sit in those seats and cheer their team on. They've had a long drought now. This hasn't been a great Laker team for quite a while. So they got the first piece, okay, that can really turn this thing around quickly. And now I would think already they're working on how do we make that next step happen now? Was it going to take us a year of going through this year to get that next piece that we know is waiting out there to come, but maybe he can't come right now?
No doubt. Casey, there's a U-Haul waiting for you if you want to tag along and go to L.A. with LeBron.
Are you saying, the two of us could both fit in it.
Somebody's got to go.
We could bring Griff, too.
Shorties only.
You know why that's a good segue? Because we have on a guy who wouldn't fit in the U-Haul with us.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Chuck. Welcome in.
Well, I tell you what, if it's a U-Haul, we can fit like 50 of you in there. Hey, guys, let me tell y'all something. Do y'all know that Sunday night is a show called Succession, and then Power starts tonight, and y'all are interrupting my Sunday night watching Succession and Power?
You got DVR.
Are you taping it? Come on, Charles.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. We're interrupting Succession and Power. How fitting are those show names for what we're talking about right now?
Great point.
Chuck, to be fair, Kenny was asleep in London, so you're a close second. Let me ask you about your reaction. LeBron to the Lakers, a lot of people thought that was a good possibility. Now it's a reality for 4 years. What's your reaction?
Not a shock at all. I mean, I was hoping he stayed in Cleveland, but I don't think it was a shock that he's. We've been talking about it for 6 months, so I don't think it's a shock. But they got a long way to go. Paul George thing last night was good for Paul George. But, what's going to be interesting, the Lakers, they're not going to trade, the Spurs are not going to trade Kawhi Leonard to the Lakers. Well, that would be just stupid. So it's going to be interesting what Magic is able to do. Whether, I know they made some contact with DeMarcus Cousins. But if it's going to be interesting because, like I say, the Spurs would be stupid to give Kawhi Leonard and LeBron and play against them for the next 5 to 10 years. So that don't have any legs whatsoever to me. So I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in DeMarcus Cousins, or they might have to wait till next summer when Kawhi is free or some of those other guys free.
Charles, you know Magic well. What does it say about he and Rob Pelinka and that group, and as D.A. pointed out, Jeannie Buss, rightfully so, and their plan? Because clearly, hey, LeBron, we're in L.A., and you want to be in the movies and your kids live here is not going to be enough. What does this tell you about the plan that's in place and the direction that LeBron was sold by Magic?
Well, I don't think it tells me anything. I think the next piece is going to tell you. Listen, I think everybody assumed LeBron was going to the Lakers. I think he's older. He wants to be probably in sunshine to finish up his career. He's probably want to be a little bit more competitive. So LeBron to me was the easy piece. Now comes the hard piece. Losing Paul George. Now you got to wait a year more than likely if the Spurs aren't able to talk Kawhi into staying. I think, I'm not going to give him too much credit. That was the easiest part. I think everybody in the studio you're talking to, like, oh, okay, he was going to the Lakers. What's next? It's hot as hell. Power comes on at the top of the hour.
Well, what do you get after
TV
that?
Guide, brought to you by Charles Barkley.
Hey, Charles, do you come back to NBA TV after that for the wrap-up?
What, so everybody can repeat the same LeBron for the last week and a half.
You've seen the show. Appreciate it, Chuck. Thank you.
Credit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Whoever said succession and power is a perfect way to explain tonight.
That's Griff.
It's Griff.
All right, well, listen, man. Listen, I know you guys been working you behind off. But like I say, listen, great for the Lakers. But unless they get something else, let me ask you guys a question. Each one
Chuck,
of
you just want to keep talking?
Yeah,
you want to come in?
What do you want to ask us,
Wait,
Chuck? Go
y'all
ahead.
called me.
No. You're right. So what do you want to ask us, Chuck? Go ahead.
So looking at the Laker team just right now, where do they fit in the West?
Chuck, as DA, I would say you certainly are looking at, we got Golden State 1, Houston 2, or maybe, in some order there. I think OKC is still, now with Paul George back, if, they get all their pieces back, I think they're in the mix too. I'd say the Lakers probably a, 3-4 seed. Does that seem reasonable?
Yep.
The way they sit today, I think if you look at wins above replacement and everything else that you can say that LeBron brings to the equation, they're a 43 to 47 win team, something like that.
So what seed is that, Griff?
In the
5
West?
or 6
5
in
or
the
6,
West,
yeah.
7 or 8 in the West.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. If they were in the East, they're definitely a 3 or 4.
Because you're looking at, you got Minnesota, you've got
Utah,
you've got
Denver.
Denver. There's some teams that are, Portland.
Yeah, good team.
Yeah.
No question.
So, and I think the fact that LeBron's got to play these teams now 4 times. And so now, can these young guys withstand it during a 4-game stretch of doing it? So, but I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs.
Right.
Chuck, go ahead.
So Billy, I agree with you. I think I'm looking at 5, 6, 7 because all them teams you mentioned, they're not better than Minnesota. They might not be better than Denver. They clearly, let's take the Warriors and the Rockets out of the equation. But you look at it on paper, OKC, I think they're going to be better because they don't have to answer all the questions about where he's going to stay or go. Portland's going to be pretty good. Minnesota, to me, is a sleeper. But the Lakers going to have to play those guys a lot more. So LeBron, that thing he did in the Eastern Conference where he could just will his team to win, 3 or 4 games, that ain't going to work in the West.
And we didn't even mention Utah, Chuck.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, my goodness, I forgot about Utah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
unless they get another player, another big-time free agent this year, to me, there's
I'm with.
You know what?
6, 7, 8 seed.
And we didn't even mention New Orleans with Anthony Davis.
Oh, you're right.
But I think y'all selling 23 a little short here.
But I just think that for the long duration of the season, you're playing better
Right.
competition during the regular
No
season.
question. But
That's the hardest thing.
These guys all got through anybody who plays with LeBron gets better. You just get better.
Well, because the expectation is you do.
Right.
To a huge degree, it's self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
playing with different responsibilities than I ever
I
had.
don't remember y'all saying that during the playoffs this year. Y'all saying how bad his teammates sucked all year.
Well, he got him to the finals,
Right.
Chuck.
Yeah, in the Eastern Conference.
Right. I got that. I understand what you're saying.
For the record, to be clear, Chuck, I never said that.
I think you said that.
I want to ask the panel something, because this gets thrown out as there's no way. And Chuck, hang on, I'll let you weigh in too, because you said this as well. I said it, Chuck said it, everybody says, well, Kawhi could want to go to the Lakers, but there's no way that Pop and the Spurs are going to deal him to the Lakers. Do any of you see any chance where that's the case, or are we really looking at Philadelphia or Kawhi is stuck and he better get over it?
I think I think at the end of the day, they're going to make the best deal. Wherever that is, if it's the Lakers, it's the Lakers. They'll pull the trigger on that. If it's
So they would.
I think they would if they think it's the best deal. Now, I think there would be some question about whether one or two of the Lakers' young players and a couple of picks that now are not going to be all that valuable
Right.
are better than what you can get elsewhere.
And I think now you start taking away some of those pieces we were just talking about. Now you have Kawhi Leonard and a lot less of those young talent. Now you got to go get some older veteran guys and hope they can mesh and make it work. So now is Kawhi and LeBron and a bunch of Jamal Crawfords and pieces good enough to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the point you made about the situation for the Lakers in terms of if they did that and they lose pieces, right? And you're talking about the depth of all of it.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the fact that if they trade Kawhi to the Lakers, what are they getting back that they can feel like is going to help them compete in that Western Conference?
Exactly.
What you get back from anyone has to enable you to compete within your own conference.
Right.
And if you keep him in the West, it makes it that much more difficult.
Going forward.
I would just say this real quick. I know Chuck's on the line. If I'm the Spurs, I'm trading you my best player in Kawhi Leonard. They just got their best player.
Right.
So now you're giving me your second, maybe third, maybe fourth best player, and some picks that again don't help me.
Which is why Philly is more interesting. Sarge,
to me, I
Covington,
think Philly
Fultz.
is a more makes more sense to me. Now I'm not making that call. That's
Or
that's
Boston.
R.C. Buford and
Boston can put
Boston
together a
too.
really compelling package.
Charles, the last question I have, because I know you're still here, I don't want to. Did you press pause yet on the DVR?
I told you,
All right.
man, I don't DVR stuff. I don't even know how to use a DVR.
So you're just missing it?
By the way,
No, I know. I got it on.
do you
No,
wanna-
he's ignoring us, actually.
Do you want to have your mind blown?
yeah.
Chuck, have you ever used an ATM?
I have not ever used the ATM.
Like in his whole life?
I don't even want to know the mechanics of that. I really don't.
Hey, Chuck, you've never used an ATM?
I've never used the ATM, ever. Or a DVR either, just for the record. I told y'all that.
Do you have a microwave?
What
Yeah, I got a microwave.
what an interesting life, Chuck.
Isn't it amazing? All right, Chuck, thanks for the fun.
Hey, guys. Hey, thanks for having me. Hey, keep up the great work, guys.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Okay.
Yeah, never used it. I mean, that is. Kobe, welcome to the family, King James. Laker life, strive for greatness, Genie Bus, Magic. Rob Pelinka, well done. LeBron.